Hi, my name is Laura Nechira and I'm a software engineer on the Play Game Services team. Our focus is on creating awesome gaming experiences across the entire Google Play ecosystem.
And my name is Andrew Giuliano. I'm a DevRel engineer on the Android and Play team, a role where I work closely with our partners to be successful with our latest tech, such as Google Play Games. Then take that experience internally to create better products for our developers.
Play Game Services stands at the core of the Play gaming experience. With over 2 billion gamer profiles, we empower developers with tools to offer players awesome experiences across Play surfaces. Today, we will dive deep on how to use Play Game Services to drive seamless continuity across your portfolio of games. The bridge between users and developers is the Play Games profile. Profile creation is a one-time process which is triggered when the player tries to sign in with Play Games for the first time. The onboarding takes just one click and it's done. Once the user is signed in, you can start linking the player's in-game progress with the Play Games Services player ID. Let's go over the additional gains you can offer to your players by integrating Play Games Services. As we've seen, onboarding is a low-friction process. Beyond that, we've made it possible for users with an existing Play Games profile to sign in with zero friction every time. That means you can help your players jump to where they left off in the game without any extra effort, like additional clicks or entering long passwords from their side. Besides the ease, signing in with PGS gives the confidence to the players that their Google account identity is kept safe and distinct from their gamer identity. Furthermore, Play Game Services allows players to play the same game on multiple devices. A user starts playing the AFK Arena on a mobile and continues playing on their Google Play Games on PC without losing their progress. When a user signs in with their Play Games profile in your game, you will receive an identifier, the Play Games player ID. You can use it to identify the user or to store in their in-game progress to later restore it when they join the game. Take, for example, users upgrading their devices. This is a high-stress situation for the user because it involves getting credentials right. When that doesn't happen, the user will lose their existing progress and churn out with a high probability, resulting in lost business for you. Play Game Services helps you solve this issue by giving you the tools to ensure continuity. On the previous slide, I briefly introduced Google Play Games on PC. As the name implies, players can play their favorite mobile game on their Windows PC, and one of the features offered on this platform is continuity of play. By signing in with the Play Games profile on mobile, you can use their gaming profile to store their in-game progress and restore it when they later join the game. Imagine a user who is playing your game on mobile and runs out of battery. Instead of waiting for the phone to charge, they carry on playing the game on their Windows PC. Play Game Services and Google Play Games on PC can help developers drive meaningful retention. For example, we saw that Lilith games increased 7-day retention by over 50% and 1-day retention by over 40% by integrating with Play Game Services and launching on Google Play Games on PC with their titles Rise of Kingdoms and AFK Arena. Lilith attributed their higher retention value to providing a seamless onboarding experience for the users across mobile and PC, where users can easily pick up where they left off. As we saw from Lilith, Play Game Services can bring great retention benefits to your game. Another one of our partners, Supercell, integrated Play Game Services version 1 into Clash of Clans a few years ago, and after upgrading to V2 this year, they saw an increase of 35 of daily active users signed into their game. Furthermore, now they see 62% of their daily active users signed in with Play Game Services. If you're currently on Play Game Services V1, we'd recommend migrating to version 2 to get the best coverage of signed-in users with Play Game Services. Now that we've seen the benefits of Play Game Services, let's take a quick look at how to integrate Play Game Services V2 with your game and some new features coming along this year. And now I'll hand it over to Andrew to tell us more about how to use Play Game Services sign-in and some new features we are introducing.
PGS is easy to integrate, has a frictionless login experience for the user, and can be leveraged within your own identity system so that your users can seamlessly bring their game progress across surfaces. Let's focus on that first point. With PGS V2, sign-in is automatically triggered without needing any extra code, and retrieving the player's info only takes a few lines of code. Let's take a look at the 3 steps to integrate PGS within your game. First, you'll need to go into the Play console, which you use today to distribute your game, among many other features. There's a dedicated Play Game Services section within the console, which will walk you through the steps needed to configure your PGS project so that your client code can call our APIs. Next, you'll need to plug in the Play SDK into your game client. In this example, we are using Java and Gradle. However, we also have native and Unity SDKs to simplify your developer experience with other setups. As you see here, you'll pull in the PGS SDK, specify your game's PGS project ID in the Android manifest, and finally instantiate the SDK in your application class. Finally, on startup in your client code, you can see if the user successfully logged into your game, and if so, what their player ID is. The first block of code here shows the call to ensure the user is logged in with your game. If the user chose to decline, we offer an API to re-trigger the sign-in prompt so that you can have a button in your game menu to log in the user in case they change their mind. Otherwise, if the user is logged in, you can use the call in the second block to retrieve their player ID, which you can use to identify a player across surfaces. And that's it. You now have the flow all set up for a user to sign in with your game, and you can retrieve the player ID. Now that PGS is integrated into your game, you can take advantage of other features PGS offers, such as profile friend lists, achievements, and leaderboards. We also offer REST APIs so that you can verify your PGS login attempts server-side with Play Service. We won't cover these in our talk, but we recommend reading more at our developer site. Now that we've covered how to integrate PGS into your game, let's talk about some new features coming this year to create a better experience for developers and users. First, let's cover a new privacy-forward feature coming to PGS this year, as we call them next-generation player IDs. As we've discussed a few times already in this talk, the PGS player ID is a powerful feature which allows you to get a cross-platform identifier on the user, so that you can seamlessly restore progress across surfaces for your users. This also plays an important role when fulfilling our continuity requirements for Google Play games on PC. As we see here, when the PGS user Ali is playing his favorite game, he has the same PGS player ID across all of his devices. This allows the developer to more easily create a consistent experience for Ali as he picks his game up where he left off on each device. Starting this year, we will be rolling out next-generation player IDs, where a user's player ID will be consistent across surfaces for any given game, but guaranteed to be unique across different games. With next-generation player IDs, they will still be retrieved the same way as done today, and as previously shown a few slides ago. For users who have already logged into your game with PGS, you will continue to receive the same player ID for that user, even after you've enabled next-generation player IDs. If you have a portfolio of games using PGS, and you need to have a way to follow users across more than one game, we have built a new developer player key, which will give you a cross-game identifier you can optionally request via a new server-side API. Visually, this is what it might look like for a single user. I have a unique player ID across all games. However, for Game 1 and Game 2, built by the same developer, I will have the same developer player key, which will allow Developer 1 to restore my account progress across their games if needed. For those of you who currently use PGS, let's take a moment to focus on how this might affect your games. If you don't currently use a player ID to follow players across titles, then we expect enabling next-generation player IDs won't cause any issues. That being said, we strongly recommend running tests using tester accounts to make sure that your identity system is effective, such as ensuring accounts are able to log in and link their PGS profile with game progresses, and accounts are able to log into the same identity system with the same PGS profile across separate games and have their progress tracked. As a reminder, for users who have already logged into your game with PGS, you will continue to receive the same player ID for that user, even after you've enabled next-generation player IDs. To start testing and enabling next-generation IDs in production, navigate to the PGS project configuration page, and under Properties, you'll see a checkbox allowing you to turn on the feature. When clicking on, but before publishing the change, you can test out next-generation IDs with tester accounts and run some of the tests we recommended in the previous slide. As a reminder, since next-generation player IDs are delivered using the same mechanisms as player IDs are requested today, you won't need to make any code changes to start testing out this new feature. Once you have completed testing, you can publish the changes and all new users to your game will start receiving next-generation player IDs. If any issues arise in production, you can temporarily turn the setting back to off and publish a change. If you rely on the PGS player ID to power cross-title experiences, then you can request the developer player key with a server-side call as shown here. However, please note that this key will change if the title is transferred to another developer account. Therefore, you should not consider the developer player key as stable over time and not use it as a primary key to restore users' progress. For those purposes, you should use a player ID, which will be stable over time.
Currently, the radio button has the default value turned off. After April 15th, all new game projects will have the radio button turned on, in draft mode. You can test if this changes the game experiences. If all goes well, publish this all together with the other changes. In February 2024, we will enable the feature for all games in production. If you notice any issues in your game, you will have 1 month to temporarily disable Next Generation IDs and fix it. By March 2024, Next Generation IDs will be the default of how Play Game Services works. Next Generation IDs enable better Play Game Services support for all accounts, including those under supervision, which leads us to the next subject. This year, we've been working on adding support for more Google accounts. Many parents have requested this feature for a long time, and we are happy to announce that Play Game Services team has added full support for accounts under supervision. Children on these accounts are able to create a Play Games profile and have access to all our features, such as automatic signing into games, achievements, and leaderboards. The child can initiate process to create a profile, and the parent is then notified to approve the profile creation in the Family Link app. Once this step is completed, the profile can be used to sign into games. Now the user has access to the seamless experience across devices, just like regular accounts. By turning on Next Generation IDs, you are enabling better Play Game Services support for all accounts, including those under supervision.
To finish off our talk today, we want to give you a sneak peek on a new feature coming this year to PGS. As we've worked closely with partners over the past few years, we have gained insight on how PGS often works together as part of a larger identity system for many of our partners. While we have made advancements in ease of integration with PGS v2, we want to take it one step further and reduce the burden beyond that for developers to integrate PGS within their own system and deliver seamless continuity for their users. We call this new feature the Recall API, which will help developers integrate PGS quicker by taking on the responsibility of mapping a developer's identity for the user with their PGS ID. Let's take a closer look at how this works. This new API will allow developers to store one or more tokens with Google, which correspond with the user account within the developer's identity system. After the developer stores these tokens with Google, they will be able to retrieve them when the user goes on to a new device and signs into their game with PGS. And then they will be able to automatically restore their progress. To give an idea on how this new API works within the context of a developer's identity system, let's go through a sample scenario. A user is playing a game where the developer has an identity system to track user progress and uses PGS in parallel with other authentication methods to log users into their game. In this example, a user is logged into their PGS account Laura and creates an in-game account with the developer's identity system called Racer94. As the user plays the game, the developer's game server syncs their progress. Separately, the developer saves a recall token with Google, which corresponds with the user's in-game account. Google will automatically store that recall token against the user's PGS profile. The user now decides to play the game on Google Play Games on PC for the first time. The user is automatically signed in with their PGS account, and the game client checks to see if there's any progress available for this PGS user. The game server then queries Google to see if there are any tokens for this PGS account. Since there are, Google will send back the recall token, and the game server will use that token to find the user's associated account, Racer94, and restore that progress. Since signing in with PGS is a frictionless experience, the user's progress is restored by the developer without needing to enter a username or password. Furthermore, the developer can leverage PGS sign-in with their existing identity system and rely on Google to store the link between the player progress and their PGS account. As seen from the last example, with the Recall API, there are two basic operations you'll need to do. Store the recall tokens when a user signs in with your identity system or creates an account, and restore those tokens when the user plays your game on a new device and signs in with PGS. Let's take a closer look at what you'll need to do, starting off with storing the recall token. In the diagram to the right, we'll discuss the actions needed from your game server and client, the furthest two items on the left, and how it will interact with Google Games SDK, Games Backend, and OAuth Backend. In the first step, the game will initialize the PGS SDK and attempt to sign in the user with PGS, which is successful. Later on, the user will sign in with the developer's identity system or create a new account if one doesn't exist. Now, this isn't signing with PGS, which has been done already, but with a developer's identity system outside of PGS. At this point, you can link this player account with a user's PGS account by storing a recall token. In order to do so, request a session ID from the PGS SDK on your game client, and request an OAuth2 token from Google's OAuth backend. You will use both the session ID and the OAuth2 token to communicate with the Google Games backend. Finally, create an encrypted recall token which encodes the user's account, and send it to Google along with the session ID and OAuth2 token. At this point, Google will create an association between the recall token you sent and the player's PGS account. Please note that you can store more than one recall tokens if you'd like to associate more than one player progresses for a single PGS user. Now let's say the user goes onto a new device and you want to retrieve the recall tokens. The user will log onto a new device with PGS, and as before, you will request a session ID from the game client and an OAuth2 token to communicate with Google. You can then request for any associated recall tokens with the PGS user's account. Finally, you can use these tokens to seamlessly restore the PGS user's associated accounts onto this new device. As mentioned before, the Recall API will be available to all developers this year. Stay tuned for more updates. To recap, we have discussed how PGS can help you drive user retention for your games by giving you the tools to provide your players with seamless continuity across play devices. Furthermore, we've discussed how new features coming this year will make PGS even more privacy friendly for your users and easier to integrate for developers with an existing identity system. So integrate PGS today to help get more users signed into your game across multiple devices and offer them seamless continuity, no matter how they switch between them. And stay tuned at the link for product updates as new features come out this year.